Welcome to the Victorious Gospel of True Parents, Session 2, A True Daughter. She was told, "They say that you are going to get married tomorrow." She responded, "Is that so?" She was like that. She did not oppose anything. Father's words. Her parents, Han Seung-un and Hong Son-ae, married around 1934, and true mother Hak Ja-han was born on February 10th of 1943, 9 years later, at her maternal grandparents' house in Shinwi village, which is 18 miles from father's hometown on the opposite side of the same river. Mother's birth came after 9 years of marriage, and her parents separated shortly afterward. It is said that her mother refused to have sex after her conception. Mr. Han, her father, was a member of a spirit-led but marginal Christian group, one that was expecting to receive the Messiah, Reverend Lee Young-do's New Jesus Church. Mrs. Hong was raised a Presbyterian, and she joined the New Jesus Church. It may have been because her husband belonged, or perhaps she had joined and met him there. In either case, she moved on from there to two more preparation churches, Kim Sung-do's Holy Lord Church and then Ho Ho Bin's Inside the Womb Church. She was, as I understand, the only surviving member of the Inside the Womb Church, and she joined the Unification Church together with her daughter in Seoul. There were signs and prophecies of True Mother's calling from an early age, which I will not detail, but to mention as a representative, that Ho Ho Bin's mother blessed True Mother at age 4 as the one who will become the bride of heaven. The essence of the experience of True Mother in these spirit-led churches is what matters, and I will summarize True Father's words on the subject. Over and over again, she heard from her mother that the Lord will come in the future, and that when she meets him, she must attend him in this way and that. Daimonim repeatedly taught her so many times that her teaching infused into her bone marrow. This is how she was educated to become True Mother. So if True Mother mentioned on some occasion that True Father did not educate her, she was just repeating his words. Not to belabor the point, but Father also said, "Because of that old woman's faith and dedication, I chose her daughter, who was in her second year at high school." Here, that old woman, of course, refers to Mrs. Hong, whom Father later named Daimonim, Great Mother. Further, Father knew the hardships Hak Ja-han faced growing up with a single mother in war-torn Korea. Not just a single mother, but one who was a devout follower of persecuted religious sects. Father said, with caregivers devoted to the church, she was not well clothed or fed, and was thereby trained to support those who devote 100% to the providence. She knew persecution as a sect member. It does not describe a happy childhood, but somehow this girl thrived in this setting, was very obedient to her mother and grandmother, and inherited their devotion to God. Mother graduated high school in 1959 and entered St. Joseph's Nursing School. Didn't True Father go back and visit schools that True Mother attended as a child? Didn't he provide generous grants to them? Is it just a coincidence that the property that Father chose for UTS was billed as St. Joseph's Normal Institute? I see a pattern here. Father always created meaning, and he treasured True Mother. He said of this time in her life, as she prepared to become a nurse, heaven arranged for her to lead a life of divine isolation. She wanted never to marry, but to enter a convent, plant an orchard, and live there alone. Around this time, her mother joined the Unification Church, and one interesting thing made Father notice Mrs. Hong's 14-year-old daughter. Father said. When she went to and from Changpadong, she followed only one path. I watched her carefully. Seeing that she always followed the right path, I thought to myself, aha. This led to his meeting with the small family, at which time we know well that Father, without premeditation, closed his eyes and uttered the words, "So Hak Ja-han has been born in Korea." He carried out, whether then or on another occasion, a wonderful means to learn about his young member of his small church. I tested her by asking her to draw a picture. Her frame of mind was even more beautiful than her drawing. She was a very lovely and elegant girl. Would that we had that picture. On another occasion, Father presented another reason for his choosing Hak Ja-han as his bride, her hands. Though she looks docile, she has grit. You can see that right away when you see her hands. Her hands are thick and bold. He also hearkened back to his observation of her approach to the Changpadong church each Sunday. He said, "She doesn't waver. This is why I have chosen her as mother." In 1996, Father reflected more on the qualifications that Hak Ja-han met as the basis for his decision to call her to be his bride. Father said, when Jesus returns to the earth in the flesh, the woman whom he takes as the bride must meet the qualifications as stipulated by the principle to be the bride. This requires that she knows all the contents of the heavenly way. It requires that she look forward to his coming and prepare to welcome him. So again, True Father stated that True Mother knew, before meeting him, all the contents of the heavenly way, and she had prepared to welcome him. Father knew the enormity of his decision, for the woman he called would have a mission comparable only to his own, and in some ways more difficult. These are conditions, Father said, she needs in order to prepare herself to establish the one God-centered family, nation, and world. This is her responsibility as the bride. Why would I say in some ways more difficult? Well, in this world, how difficult is it for a man to become the President of the United States? How about for a woman? In some ways, even more difficult. As Father himself prepared, God was preparing True Mother. Here's how she described it at Belvedere in 1977. A month before the Holy Wedding, Father appeared to me in a dream and gave me a special revelation from God. Be prepared, for that day is at hand. More than a marriage proposal, it was a decree from heaven. When I received that decree, I went completely beyond myself. I had to empty myself because at that time I did not have the ability to deal with such a monumental matter. All I could do was pray. I responded while ever keeping that revelation in mind, thinking, "Oh God, I have been living in accordance with your will. I will follow and do whatever your will may be." I was 17 years old, and it was sometime in February. I did not want to analyze the situation at that time because I was making internal preparations by emptying myself. I only wanted to follow God's will. The artwork here is that of Jesus' mother, Mary, prior to her call to do something really difficult, to offer her life to God substantially, to give birth to the Messiah. This illustrates both Hak Ja-han's perfect submission to the will of God and her role to give birth to the Messiah. For without a bride, there is no true parents. What happened next is best related by True Father. When she was told, "Reverend Moon is calling you," she said, "Why? He does not know me. Why is he calling me?" She was told, "They say that you are going to get married tomorrow." She responded by saying, "Is that so?" She was like that. She did not oppose anything. What was true father going through at this time? He had suffered imprisonment. He had 2 failures in finding the true bride. He was serious, and he offered even more sacrifice. True father gave his bones and flesh to call the new Eve. He restored the course of Jesus by the sacrifice of his family, his prison course, his crucifixion course, building a movement of 120 churches, sending missions to Japan and the United States. He had gone through in Pyongyang the restoration of 8 stages and 43 days battle in the spirit world. He had raised up 3 core disciples who would give their lives for him. In 1957, he did a 40-day fast and more. Of course, Father had experienced one setback after another, but he never complained to God or to people. He saw in everything the hand of God. In his words, "I underwent 23 years of ordeals to connect with what heaven had prepared. I passed through all kinds of experiences while living only on raw food." This is figurative, of course, because most of the time, Father was living on no food. Up to the end, however, I did not give up my core principles. What man can say that for 40 years he did not give up his core principles? This was a condition to meet his bride, who was born to be God's bride, that Father himself stood with his core principles intact. "And thus," Father said, "I laid the foundation whereon I could meet Mother." Concerning their marriage, the nation opposed it, the police opposed it, Christianity opposed it, his own church leaders opposed it. But true mother did not waver. She had absolute faith in true father. It means she had absolute faith in God and in herself. And she surely had absolute faith in her own mother. In February 1960, the betrothal was announced. On March 27th, the engagement ceremony took place. Some 2 weeks later, at 3 a.m. on April 11th, the wedding started. Father had been released from a police station 4 hours earlier. How would you feel if the day before your daughter's wedding, you were told that her husband-to-be was dealing with problems with the police? Sure, he's a wonderful man. He truly believes in God, but why are the police holding him late all night? Oh, did you hear? 12 church leaders just resigned in opposition to this wedding. You know, they were all professors. Did you hear? The government is investigating this church. Maybe he's stealing money. Did you hear? All the Christian ministers are warning everyone it's a sex cult. Your daughter is marrying the leader of a sex cult. And what are you facing? This man is the one who tells you that you are to be the queen of heaven and earth, to govern the world, to lead Korea to glory, to build the kingdom on earth, with this man who happens to be held in a police station on the night of his wedding. Father said the wedding seemed very simple, but it was a core event embracing everyone. I see the mission of the husband to protect, liberate, and glorify the wife, to create an unstained and beautiful bride who is the queen of the world based on her creative responsibility. Father said, "It is remarkable that this Adam, for whom God had waited 6,000 years, came to earth and indemnified everything, and thus held the holy wedding in 1960. This is what true mother believed, and to this she dedicated her life." Mother's predestination. It's just like ours. This is straight out of divine principle. Born into the chosen people. The accomplishments of her ancestral line. Being endowed with the requisite character, developing the necessary qualities during her early life, her time and place in God's providence. In Father's words, she was already educated to become true mother. How to attend the Lord was infused into her bone marrow. She looked forward to his coming and prepared to welcome him. And when she met him, she had absolute faith in him. I'm sorry to bring this up, but Father's first wife lacked faith in Father. His second wife lacked faith in herself. How could God find the true mother? She had to be the bone of Father's bones, flesh of Father's flesh. Hak Jahan won the victory for God, for Father, for true parents, for all humanity. At age 17, Mother vowed, with true Father, to become true parents of heaven, earth, and all humankind. This is impractical, implausible, inconceivable. I have a cousin-in-law who met the church in 1957. The principal answered all his questions, but he could not conceive of joining. Why? Because Father's vision was too unrealistic. He couldn't believe all the grandiose visions that Father assured people would happen. Somehow, Mother could believe it all and accept co-responsibility with Father to achieve it. At 17, Hak Jahan gave her spirit and flesh, representing the world, so that Father could give life to the world through her. In his last public speech, true Father revealed more of what Jesus told him at the very beginning. Jesus said, "I came here today to go with you to join the marriage. I know it will be difficult for you, but what do you think if you join me in being married?" Elder brother Young Myung, he said to me, "Let's go to the blessing ceremony." That was the Able Women's UN inauguration, July 2012. At age 40, through the faith, love, and obedience of this daughter of God, our Father could fulfill Jesus' request and begin to comfort the heart of Jesus and of God, who never had a bride. True Mother received the crown and never took it off. Thank you for listening.